Hi everyone, and welcome to Apprenticeish, where we talk all about apprentices, apprenticeships, kind of. The video that so many of you guys have been asking and waiting for is finally here, which is the topic of money, finances, all that kind of stuff. I think I'm gonna need to make more than one video because honestly, I couldn't get my brain straight before today's session, so there's going to be some generic points in this video, but there are definitely other things that I want to bring up, particularly in different contexts, because everyone is in like such a different place and in such like a different position, not only in life, but also with their apprenticeship. Guys, like I don't know if you understand that the minimum salary for a degree apprenticeship is like, I don't know what it is right now, I'll put it on the screen, but it's really low. Whereas if you're a degree apprentice, you're a solicitor apprentice, and you're earning like 25, 26, 27, 28, 30K, or a finance apprentice earning, 40K or however much they're paying you, obviously the advice is not going to be the same. Or I'm not even going to say advice because, guys, I'm not a financial advisor. I am literally just talking about my experience as an apprentice. And to be quite honest, I like to spend money. like to spend money. I'm not an advisor. I'm not giving you financial advice. Let me be entirely clear. But I'm giving tips on how you may want to. I just have to give all of these disclaimers. I don't want to hear pimp. This should be taken with a pinch of salt, and you need to review any financial anything in line with your particular circumstances and in line with your financial situation. Some of you have no debt, some of you live at home, some of you have 10K debt, some of you live in London by yourself and you have to pay all the rent and the bills. So obviously that's going to be really, really expensive. Your expenses are going to be super high. Or maybe you live in another major city and, just the costs about everything is just so different. So I'm trying to be as generically assistable as possible. What was that? Yeah, so the first tip I would give is to actually understand your paycheck. I do understand that, especially if this is your first job post apprenticeship, and maybe you don't care, maybe you're just like, oh, it's just money that comes into my account every month. Like I really could not care less. Let me tell you something. You need to make sure that you are on the correct tax code, please, because sometimes you might have the wrong tax code or they're overtaxing you, and sometimes they do give you like the tax rebate as well, but it's just much better and quicker to just be paid the correct amount. If you're not sure what your tax code is, I'll probably say ask your parents, look on your pay slip and it will tell you what your tax code is. If you don't know how to figure that out, I will link in the description of this video your the government website where it talks about taxes and pay slips, because you need to understand and make sure that you're actually getting the correct amount, because a lot of people just be out here earning money and don't even understand actually your income is this amount but you get taxed this amount. Is that even the correct tax amount?
This is Editing Leaks here. I also wanted to mention that there may be other benefits that are taking away from your salary that you may not be aware of, that you may automatically be enrolled in as well. So this could be a particular amount that you're contributing to your pension, or maybe private insurance that you've opted into, maybe that you aren't aware of. So would definitely recommend to double check.
Understand that. Equally, understanding your income doesn't just mean your salary. Maybe you have other side hustles, other ventures that you have going on the side. Understand how your money speaks to each other in your account. Do a good financial review every single year or every 3 months, or however often you want to review your finances. Make sure you review your finances. Just understanding, first of all, where are you at right now? Bringing in, how are you bringing money in? Entirely understandable if the degree apprenticeship or the apprenticeship is your only source of income, but also just be mindful of budgeting is the second part. Budgeting is a skill that you need to build up. Go onto YouTube and look at as many videos about finances as you can, and look at it through the lens of your situation. So you don't need to take everything on, but just like educate yourself on budgeting. Poor budgeting can put you in debt, and obviously that's very, very serious, especially if you're working in a regulated profession. And like really good budgeting obviously can really help you. I think I'm actually just gonna talk about how I do it myself. So every year, I think for the last like 2 years or 3 years. So the first 2 years of my apprenticeship, I can't lie, I was just spending money anyhow. Anyhow, I was enjoying life. I was trying out different projects. I was investing in different ideas that I had. And I just wanted to like take them a step further or more seriously. Obviously, there comes a time when that really needs to stop. Or not stop necessarily, but just the money needs to be redirected. It needs to be put to work in a different area of my life. This is what I did. So, pick and choose however you want to do things. I review my finances either at the end or the beginning of the year. So my year begins and ends like September to September. I've just done a financial review of the whole year and how much I should be spending every single month, what my expenses should look like every single month. I'm really bad at sticking to budgets, but I think I've just made it a lot more realistic this time. Like I know for myself, I like eating out. Buying clothes is not really a thing for me. I do not care. I'm not really, I do like nice clothes, but it's not something that I need to like. I don't need to shop every single month. I just don't care. I would rather pay more for rent, for example, than spend money on clothes. And that's just something for me to know and to put into that budgeting sheet. And honestly, think about like the larger expenses in advance. So if I know I want to go holiday in March, May, and June, I need to make sure that I've either saved that amount or I have the budget for that amount. And I put all of that in the calendar. So I know when I wanted to buy a new piece of technology, when I wanted to go on holiday, how much that holiday is going to cost. I put all of that in a spreadsheet. Literally, like, you can find so many by the way, free financial budgeting stuff online. Also, like, I had just elevated my mindset when it came to money and my relationship with finances through listening and reading about money and how it works. And if you are religious, then there's so much content out there where you can learn about money through the lens of your values and your beliefs. So you don't just have to take on anything that people put in front of you. I think it's unwise to not be educated in this area, especially as an apprentice, because you are getting money from the jump. And there's a difference between the person who is saving, say for example, from the get-go of your apprenticeship, you're earning 1.5k. There's a difference between someone who saves £500 every single month throughout the entirety of their apprenticeship versus the person who is spending absolutely everything every single paycheck that they get versus the person who's saving £1,000 and reinvesting that. Do you get what I mean? So I think it's just thinking about the effects and impacts of compounding, and not only compounding in savings. So like if I save £500 a month and £500 next month, I've now saved 1,000 Great British pounds versus, investing, all that kind of stuff. I'm not going to be talking about investing. I go to other people about investing. I don't feel well versed enough to talk about it, but there's so many videos and resources out there on YouTube. The next thing that I do is I think about where I want to be and the kind of lifestyle that I want to live and how much that actually costs. Actually, let's just take different places of where I was during my apprenticeship. So at the very start of my apprenticeship, I moved out. I lived in a shared house. So there was three of us, three women. The rent was really low. I think the rent was like £520 a month. And that covered bills, utilities, and all that kind of stuff. I was in the panorama, so travel was close to zero. I was eating out daily. I'm sure that the place that I ordered from every single day knew my order off the back of their hand. It was terrible. So I spent a lot of money on like ordering things and just dumb stuff. But I think like now, obviously you do see a lot of apprentices going on holiday and doing all that kind of stuff. And that is, great for them, but that might not be good for you. And not obviously, but some people literally cannot do the full uni route because of the financial predicament and awkward situation that they would be in. And just because you live at home, for example, doesn't mean that you don't pay, rent or pay towards or a contribution to your family home. The apprenticeship is really intense, don't get me wrong. But I also feel like in the back of my mind that if the pandemic had taught me anything, it's just that like job security is not promised. And I'm so grateful that like I was even able to continue on my apprenticeship. Not that anything like, happened in particular, but I think that there are so many companies that literally did not make it out of the pandemic. Not everyone had a job at the end of the pandemic. Not everyone, bounced back professionally at the end of the pandemic. And, for some people, that was literally their only source of income. And I have to appreciate the apprenticeship is really intense. So, take this advice with a pinch of salt. But if you can get a second source of income, whether it be a side hustle, whether it be through investing, whether it be through, however you feel is appropriate for you to be bringing in an extra source of income outside of your apprenticeship. The only reason why I say that is literally just because jobs are not promised. You could start an apprenticeship tomorrow and you could hate it and decide you want to leave, but now you like only have one source of income. It's risky for you personally. But then also like you have to make sure that it's not going to ruin or impact the apprenticeship as well. So it's a really hard balance and you have to find something that works for you. But I'm just saying, if you can, if you're able to, if you have the capacity to, definitely do that, because it's just so sad. And don't think that just because you're an apprentice that, your company couldn't close down or it could never be you. Like, humble yourself, honestly. I'd also say obviously it's really good because the apprenticeship, you don't have like debt attached to it to pay off. So that's obviously really helpful. But also sometimes the extra money can have you moving crazy. Put your money to work. Put your money to work. This is the only thing you take from the video. Please do not get caught up in lifestyle creep, which can happen so quickly, especially because of the society we live in. Everyone's living in a one-bedroom house, a one-bedroom flat in central London, paying 2.5k for rent. Especially, this may be your first job, you're just like, oh, like I can do this and this. Like, do everything within boundaries and remits. And I think it's fine, especially if your first or your second or your third paycheck, like enjoy yourself. But honestly, there will have to come a time where you cannot just be moving crazy with your finances, like especially if it's a long apprenticeship. You want to be putting things away, not only for your future, but also, for projects you might have, for emergencies that come up, for family emergencies that come up. You might have to book a trip quickly to somewhere at short notice, that they're really expensive. So lifestyle creep is very, 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 very real. And I'm not saying that because I've been through it, which I definitely have. I'm so grateful to have a home that I could move back into, but yeah, it is expensive, like especially in London. And sometimes some people do ask me like how I'm able to afford living by myself. I made sure that I chose somewhere that is within my financial band. And one wrong move won't send me over the edge, thank God. It's a very modest living situation, but honestly I love it, I enjoy it, and it works for me. Whereas some people might want a nice apartment and that might work for them, or people want to stay home. I'm going to create a whole video on moving, but I just want to be clear that just because you move out doesn't mean that it needs to cost you an arm and a leg. Like, there are places that especially if you're in a city, very easy to find rent that costs 1.5k, 1.2k, 1.1k, 1.7k, even, not including bills, chair. I think just being wise, and if you don't know how or really where to start when it comes to finances and all that kind of stuff, I will link some things down below of resources that I use, podcasts that I listen to, that I just find very helpful. I don't want to gatekeep in this area. It really does depend on where you work, but sometimes the salary is actually not negotiable. Yeah, there's a lot of content out there about how to renegotiate your salary to, like, you know, get this kind. I feel like with apprenticeship, it's not really the same like that because they're paying for your program as well. I would also just say, oh my gosh, this is one of my biggest things. Do not be hoodwinked out here. Like, and this is for people who have not applied for an apprenticeship or are looking to apply for an apprenticeship. If you're applying for something, please check the salary. If they tell you competitive, you need to find out what that number is. Because especially if you're going to move, this is a really big deal because you cannot do the apprenticeship if you literally cannot afford to live. You need to make sure that you're actually earning enough to keep you alive, to have a roof over your head, and for you to get to and from work, especially, but also, you know, for your mental health, you might want to do things on the weekend as well. Please do not be hoodwinked by this competitive, because I know some places, I don't want to say hoodwinked, that's a bit of a strong word, but please just be aware of the importance of knowing how much you earn. Like, that's so important. I hope that something in this video is hitting you, something is being helpful, but I do want to go through things in a more methodic way. Finances, I just find it a very tricky topic to talk about because some people live at home, some people don't live at home, some people want to move out, some people don't want to move out, some people have debts and they're grown, some people have kids, and it's just so difficult to talk to all of these different audiences. So if there's anything in particular about finances, I'd be really grateful to know, because there's so many things. Like, finances is such a huge topic. But yeah, definitely as an apprentice, I think finally to summarize, be careful of lifestyle creep. If you can save money by staying at home, definitely do it. If you can't, then obviously find somewhere that is realistic for you. Make sure that you are educating yourself. Please do not just throw your salary away every single month, especially if this is your first job. You might get a new, you know, everything every single month, and that's fine. Like, if you have the budget for that, do it, enjoy, splurge within your boundaries. There's a lot of people who ask me to talk about finances, but what about finances? So I think I've just made this as a very general video, and I hope this helps. I'm sending you guys all my love, and yeah, we'll speak soon. Happy child!